Now at 9, authorities investigate a fire in southwest Missouri that leaves one man injured. Plus,
warming centers are opening their doors. I'm Samantha Walker, and coming up, I'll have the details on what community members can do to help these centers.
Falling temperatures is here, and along with that, sleet, snow, and of course, black ice. I'm Lonnie Walton. I'll talk to an expert on what you can do to stay safe while driving. Stick around, I'll have the details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities are investigating the cause of an early morning structure fire in Kendricktown, Missouri, just north of Carthage. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Crews found smoke and flames coming from a large commercial building which used to be a semi-truck wash. Despite the 12-degree temperatures, crews managed to control the fire in less than an hour. Carthage Fire confirms one injury. They say a man tried to put out the fire before firefighters arrived and suffered burns to his head. He was taken to a Joplin hospital. With the temperatures across the 4 states dropping to their lowest so far this winter, emergency warming centers and shelters are opening their doors. KOAM Samantha Walker spoke with 2 warming centers about how you might be able to help as they work to keep their communities safe.
The van's out right now picking people up.
The Joplin First Church of Nazarene typically opens its shelter every Tuesday and Thursday, providing things like showers and a change of clothes. But when area overnight shelters open up, the church becomes a warming center from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. so people will have a place away from the below freezing temperatures.
We're driven to go out and bring people in. My husband right now, he's out on the trails bringing people in because they need to come in and get warm. And so I just want to make sure that everybody would be safe this winter.
In Miami, the Oklahoma Emergency Response Team has turned the First Christian Church into a 24/7 warming center. The organizer says the need for the resource is evident within their street citizen population.
Under our bridges, in our parks, even storage sheds. We have a lot of people that are living there. And the temperatures right now are just at a point at night, especially where it's just not safe to be out without any type of protection. One person that came in was in shorts and a t-shirt with the temperatures at the way they were.
While some warming centers like public libraries are open to the public during their regular business hours, these 2 sites offer more resources, such as showers, clothing, and hot meals. But those extra services mean they need extra support.
Food. We need food desperately, and gas for the van, of course, because we're running constantly.
Towels are always a big demand. Socks, even jackets and coats, things like that are always in high demand.
Another way to help at both sites is by being a volunteer, something they can both use. For those running these warming centers, they say the cold winter months are an important time for the community to come out and support one another.
Until you've been out there and been freezing and cold and without food, you don't realize the need.
Reporting, I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now we have a list of warming centers in 4 states that are open or plan to open on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. We encourage people to call these locations and check on hours. You can also contact them to find out which ones are pet friendly. You can also find information on donating or volunteering for each. If your organization has a warming center and you'd like for that center to be added to the list, we'll just email our digital content manager, Stacy Strader. Let's check in now with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney for a first look at the weather.
Well, temperatures are dropping down now into the teens with wind chill values down below 10 degrees. So it's a pretty chilly night out there. Most of the roads have been cleared out. You can see downtown Joplin, 20th and Range Line, US 60. But on the edges of those roads and still around on sidewalks and parks, we do have still a lot of snow and ice on the ground. Now, taking a look at our MoDOT Kansas road conditions, most of us have started to see those clearer roads. However, out near Eureka and just west of Iola, still some wet pavement, which will freeze overnight. Burlington partially covered. Garnett and Mound City got hit with a lot of snow and ice, so they are still covered. The roads up there can get pretty dicey. Now, out on the Missouri side, we're looking good. Clear roads for all of us in our counties, in our viewing area. So we're looking good on the Missouri side. Still, though, take extra precautions when driving. Clouds are starting to clear, but we have another round of snow coming up later this week. I'll have those details coming up.
See you soon. You can get the latest road conditions and power outages across the area anytime through this QR code. It'll direct you to links on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, for that information for each of the 4 states in our viewing area. As the temperatures drop, you should be aware of the potential for black ice. AAA of Missouri wants to remind drivers to take extra precautions when navigating icy roads. KOAM's Lonnie Walton talks with an expert on how to drive safely during slippery conditions.
As a South Dakota farm boy, this ain't cold.
Paul Jacobson is a traveler who's passing through the 4 states. He says he's used to this kind of driving. He has lots of experience.
People are upset driving ice, and then you should go remedial driving school, in my opinion.
Well, we don't have a remedial driving school, but we have an expert from AAA who says black ice can be hard to spot.
One of the problems with black ice is you typically can't see it until you're already going over it, until you're already starting to feel your vehicle lose control.
So what should we do if we hit that black ice without notice?
Continue to look where you're trying to go and continue to steer that way. Your vehicle is more likely to right itself and regain traction than if you're wanting to kind of go the opposite way and fight where you're going.
And along with the other tips we just mentioned, most drivers say they just want other drivers to just slow down.
You just have to really slow down, take things easy. Don't drive too fast because that's safer.
Go slow, take your time.
And slowing down is good, but just don't slam on those brakes. To avoid slamming on your brakes, that could create your vehicle to slide further and resist it from regaining traction on the roadway. And lastly, Jacob says for him, all this knowledge is just secondhand.
This is common sense, and if you don't have common sense, you're going to have problems. That's my opinion.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Sparrow also wants to remind us to leave extra space between cars, especially during heavy traffic. Coming up, the season for winter viruses. COVID, flu, and RSV are surging, straining hospitals after the holidays. Plus, norovirus is spreading fast. What you need to know. And as a massive winter storm breaks records and brings dangerously cold temperatures across several states, officials are racing to restore power, but some are finding joy in the snow. After a relatively slow start to respiratory virus season, the U.S. is kicking off 2025 with a surge in several illnesses, flu, RSV, and COVID cases. Stephanie Stahl has the latest.
It's a new year, and we're starting 2025 with the same old respiratory viruses. 40 states, New York City and D.C., are reporting high or very high levels of flu activity, according to the latest CDC data. Emergency department visits for RSV and flu are very high and are increasing for COVID-19 from low levels nationally.
I thought it was a sinus infection. I had no idea.
Pam McLaughlin went to urgent care with postnasal drip and a strange burning sensation in her nose.
The doctor came, she said, I'm shaking my head because you got a double whammy. You have COVID and the flu.
Doctors say some people have built up immunities from previous infections and vaccinations, which can make symptoms milder. But there's also a growing number of people with serious complications.
And over the last week, it started reflecting in our hospitalizations and admissions, where it starts to become challenging to our staff.
Dr. Martin Topiel with Virtua Health says RSV, another respiratory illness, is also spiking. All the contagious infections probably related to holiday gatherings when people are in close contact. Do you expect this increase to continue now post-holidays?
Yeah, I think the next 3 to 4 weeks may be very difficult.
He says infections are being spread quickly by many people who don't realize they're contagious.
Be careful, the slightest thing, just go get tested. It's better to be safer than sorry.
And doctors say it's not too late. Vaccines are still available for COVID and flu for everyone, RSV for people at high risk.
Norovirus, the nasty stomach bug, is also spreading. 91 outbreaks were reported early in December. That's according to the CDC. Some nursing home patients with dementia might be taking trips to the hospital that are unnecessary and potentially even harmful. A study from University of Missouri-Columbia found that residents with Alzheimer's or dementia were more likely to have avoidable transfers to hospital than residents without dementia. The researchers say hospital transfers can confuse and stress residents who could instead be treated at home. but dementia might make it difficult for them to express their wishes. And a law intended to make medical test results more transparent for patients might instead be confusing and worrying them. University of Michigan researchers found that patients often see medical test results on electronic records before even their doctors have been able to look at them. But they found most patients had trouble understanding the information accurately because results weren't written with patients in mind. The authors advocate developing patient-centered pathology reports or talking to your doctor about what to look for in a report before you have a test. Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, millions of retired teachers, firefighters, and public workers are getting a boost in their financial Social Security benefits. What that new law means for them specifically, coming up.
We had our first big winter system of 2025. Now taking a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. We have had some areas that got hit a little bit worse than others, but you can see in downtown Joplin, most of the roads have been cleared. Some parking lots are still a little dicey with ice and snow because temperatures did not drop or did not warm up much warmer than low 20s today. Out in the Joplin area, we got to about 20 degrees with our low this morning of about 10 degrees, plus those wind chill values, especially in the morning with winds gusting 25 miles per hour. Now, clouds are starting to clear. We do have a few more clouds moving through Oklahoma and Kansas that are going to be covering our area in the morning. So we're going to start off a little cloudier with a wind chill value, again, down in the single digits and even below zero. So wind chill value, 1 degree in Joplin, -3 in Pittsburgh, -6 in Iola, -7 in Yates Center and Fort Scott. Now these areas that have a higher wind chill value also still have snow on the ground because they got hit with a lot more snow than the rest of us, up to 6 inches. Now, southern counties, most of those areas are clear from snow and ice, and their wind chill values are a little bit warmer than the rest of us. Now, heading into Tuesday afternoon, where our high temperatures are reaching mid to upper 20s, so we're warming up Tuesday, our wind chill value is still going to be in those mid to upper teens to even reaching low 20s. So we do warm up over the next couple of days, though it takes a while to hit temperatures above freezing. We won't see that until Thursday. So our planner for tomorrow, 9 a.m., temperatures are starting to warm up into the upper teens. 12 p.m. we're in the low 20s, about 23 degrees, and you can see overcast skies. And then by 3 p.m. clouds starting to clear, temperatures in the upper 20s, and then clear skies by the evening. Now those morning wind chills are going to be a bit of a doozy, so it's going to be pretty chilly starting off. Then heading into Wednesday, 6 a.m. temperatures are starting off still again in the low teens to single digits, though clear skies. We're warming up yet again to the upper 20s. So Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be pretty similar, but winds start to shift on Wednesday out of the west and then out of the south as we head into Thursday. Clouds start to push in, and we have our next chance of snow coming in late on Thursday. Now temperatures 9 a.m. low 20s, so a little bit warmer, 14 degrees in Yates Center, 16 in Nevada. As the snow moves in, temperatures are going to be above freezing, so some of those areas are getting a bit more of a mix with rain and snow before those temperatures start to drop later in the evening. So this is about 7 p.m. as that snow pushes in. After that, closer to midnight, temperatures are all below 28 degrees, and we're going to continue to drop further after that. So snow moves in, lighter snow accumulations in the north, a little heavier in our central and southeastern counties, but it'll start to clear as we head into Friday afternoon. Around 1:30, you're going to start to see those Kansas counties clearing out. Then by late in the evening, most of us are clear. Now, snow amounts for the 4 states, not a lot. Northern counties, less than 1 inch, and then further south we go, we could get up to 3 inches. But a lot could change with that, so we're still having a little low confidence on the snow amounts, but we are definitely going to see snow on Friday. Temperatures return back to the 30s and then eventually closer to the 40s following this next snow system.
That's going to feel like a heat wave.
Oh, it'll be so much warmer than what we're seeing today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lindsay. Now, because of these potentially dangerous temperatures, it's important to recognize the signs of hypothermia and frostbite and how to prevent them. Nick Kelly spoke to some medical experts and has more.
Our cold blast has settled in with lows in the teens Monday morning and temperatures staying below normal this week. While some can limit their time outside, Jordan Hicks from Bug Zero says work must go on for the staff taking pest control calls inside and out.
Our clients still need us for different infestations, so even on days like today, we're out and about taking care of whatever pest problems people need us to.
Hicks says while the technicians can take frequent breaks in their trucks to heat up, they use gloves, hats, overalls, and layers to keep them warm as possible outside.
Something moisture wicking that pulls that moisture away from your body, that helps keep your body warm underneath. Your second layer, some form of fleece or something that insulates.
Even though temperatures won't drop below zero, Amy Harmstrom with Cox Health says it doesn't need to be too cold to put yourself at risk for frostbite and hypothermia.
Anything less than 95 degrees body temperature is considered hypothermia for us. So even though it may be 20 degrees outside, you add that wind chill.
Frostbite symptoms include redness or pain in any skin area, white or grayish yellow skin, waxy or firm skin, and numbness. Hypothermia symptoms include confusion, shivering, difficulty speaking, sleepiness, and stiff muscles. Those who need help should call 911 right away while being brought in to slowly warm up with warm liquids and carefully cover themselves with blankets and warmer clothes. Whether it's for work or a quick jaunt outside, the best prevention is to dress warm and know your limits.
Wear multiple layers of clothing. If a layer of clothing gets wet, that needs to come off. When you get wet, you're 25 more times faster to lose body heat.
If you're starting to feel unsafe, take a break, get in the heat however you can. But doing your part's going to help your chances of not getting sick or frostbite, hypothermia.
Keep in mind, warming up should be gradual. You want to use warm water, not hot water, which could cause your body to go into shock. If left unchecked or untreated, frostbite could lead to amputation of affected limbs, and hypothermia could be fatal. The best way to protect yourself is to stay warm inside, dress warm for outside. Remember, if you need help, you should call 911. Coming up, it's not just here. Much of our nation is dealing with the first winter storm of the year.
A massive storm is turning parts of the country into a winter wonderland, while other areas are essentially paralyzed by the snow. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
The weather outside is frightful across a significant portion of the U.S. as a huge winter storm brings snow, ice, and bitter temperatures from the Midwest to the East Coast. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more now from Washington.
It's a lot, and it's hoping people are staying safe for sure.
The massive winter storm blanketing much of the U.S. is only getting more intense. Snowfall in some areas is already setting records. The Midwest is the hardest hit. Kansas City reporting more than 11 inches, the most in more than 30 years. And some areas of northern Kansas got 18 inches. Winter storm warnings are now in effect from the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic. And with temperatures plunging in the coming days due to a polar vortex, officials are trying to clear the roads and get the lights back on as soon as possible.
We've really got one day to try to get power back to as many Kentuckians as possible before the wind chill gets down close to zero. So we've got a lot of work to do.
The vortex is pulling extremely cold air down from the North Pole. It's expected to bring temperatures down about 12 to 25 degrees colder than normal, raising fears of frostbite and hypothermia.
The tip of your finger or whatever organ's impacted may get red. Then it may progress to getting white or grayish color. It may feel firm. It may be really painful.
But in many areas, folks are out and about, spending time with neighbors and trying to enjoy the winter wonderland before it ices over.
Snow is something that seems to be bringing everybody together. It's the first time in a while I've seen so many smiles. It's great.
And here in D.C., the White House says President Biden is monitoring the storm and keeping in touch with state and local officials. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
More than 2 million retired teachers, firefighters, and other public sector retirees are set to get a bump in their Social Security benefits after President Joe Biden signed the Social Security Fairness Act into law. The measure eliminates 2 federal policies that had barred employees with a public pension from collecting their full benefits under the federal retirement program, and that reduced benefits for those workers surviving spouses and family members. The president says millions will get a lump sum payment to make up for missed benefits in 2024, while the average monthly increase in payments is around $360. Joplin Police Department is hosting its Citizens Police Academy starting next month. Details just ahead. Joplin Police Department announces the upcoming session of its Citizens Police Academy. That's a 14-week program hosted by the JPD. Classes will cover a range of topics, including crime scene investigation, SWAT operation and equipment, use of force, and canine introduction. These free classes begin February 6th, run until the 8th of May. We've provided a link to the application on our website, koamnewsnow.com. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. President-elect Trump gears up for a big week, meeting with House and Senate Republicans to push his legislative priorities, including tax cuts and border security. And President Biden calls Trump a threat to democracy as the president rolls out new regulations and faces a lawsuit.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Police in Aurora, Missouri averted what could have been a deadly situation. Authorities say a man entered the lobby of the Aurora Police and Fire Facility last night armed with a handgun and then placed the gun to his head, threatening to shoot himself. Say he also pointed the weapon at officers who were behind bullet-resistant glass and repeatedly asked to be shot. When officers refused, the man stormed out of the lobby, then returned without a gun. Police subdued him with a taser. No word yet on any formal charges. The Galena, Kansas City Council is trying to sniff out the source of an odor issue. In a meeting tonight, the council agreed to ask the Kansas Department of Health and Environment to investigate the cause of a sulfur smell that's prompted a number of citizen complaints. The odor seems to be worse in this area north of 4th Street, not far from a landfill. Residents complain the smell often seems to be strongest in the evening.
It's been off and on. It was just a little bit like the past summer and stuff like that, and nothing to really worry about. But now it's just nonstop. And it's just whenever, because I'm on the south side of the landfill and the wind blows from the north, we smell it.
The KDHE had previously determined the smell was not likely coming from that landfill, but the council is seeking a further investigation. With President-elect Trump's win certified and House and Senate leadership in place, lawmakers are looking to what's next on the agenda. Not everyone, however, agrees on what sits atop the congressional priority list. Fox News senior national correspondent Asaya Hasni explains where things stand on Capitol Hill.
Tonight, President-elect Trump is playing the deal maker for his own legislative agenda. Fox has learned Trump has invited key House Republicans to Mar-a-Lago later this week to talk about extending his 2017 tax cuts, passing no taxes on tips, addressing border security and energy, and raising or eliminating the debt ceiling. Trump will personally meet with Freedom Caucus members who want to cut the deficit and lawmakers from states like New York who prize state and local tax breaks. Trump says his preference is to put it all into what he calls one big beautiful bill, but he's open to splitting it into two.
I'm open to either way as long as we get something passed as quickly as possible.
But some Republicans fear one monstrous package will cause delays and risk national security legislation.
If you're a tax cutting person, which I understand, and you're holding the border bill hostage, I think that's a dangerous thing.
The Trump transition team is also urging Congress to pick up the pace on confirming Trump's nominees, pointing to last week's terror attack in New Orleans.
When the FBI is not doing their job, we have problems like this.
On Trump's defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth, a source close to the process threw cold water on a recent report suggesting that GOP leader John Thune told Trump Hegseth will have the votes. His whip, though, vowing to get to 50 somehow.
So is Senator Mitch McConnell on board with Pete Hegseth?
No, I don't know that part of it. We have 53 Republican senators. J.D. Vance will be available if we need to break a tie.
And Fox is told that President-elect Trump will be meeting with Senate Republicans here in Washington on Wednesday to talk about his legislative priorities while he's in town for former President Jimmy Carter's funeral on Thursday. On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
Less than a week after an ISIS-inspired extremist rammed a truck through Bourbon Street, New Orleans is trying to heal. President Biden is joining them, attending a public prayer service and meeting with families and officials. The Louisiana governor declared a statewide period of mourning to honor the 14 lives lost. The city and federal government will also partner to ensure safety during Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl. President Biden leaves office in 2 weeks, but he's not going quietly. Over the weekend, he spoke out against his political opposition and issued some controversial new regulations. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more from Washington.
I didn't think I'd have to fight to maintain democracy.
President Biden not mincing words as he took a final parting shot at his successor. The president gave an impromptu press conference on Sunday at the White House. He urged a peaceful transfer of power while also telling reporters he still believes President-elect Trump is a threat to American democracy.
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that.
In recent weeks, the president has been working to secure his legacy as he prepares to leave the Oval Office. He sent billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, issued thousands of pardons, and given high-profile awards to political allies like Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton. And on Monday, he rolled out new regulations that will ban new oil and gas drilling on 625 million acres of federal waters. Writing in part, quote, "Members of Congress and coastal communities alike have worked and called for greater protection of our ocean and coastlines." The new order is based on a 1953 law giving the president the authority to permanently protect unleased waters. The Trump transition team says the effort will fail, but the order will be difficult for President-elect Trump to reverse, meaning congressional Republicans will have to take action.
We'll work on the energy production to jumpstart and make sure we're energy dominant again.
Also on Monday, U.S. Steel filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration for blocking its sale to a Japanese company. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast. The top performers at the box office.
Well, after our first big winter system of 2025, we can go ahead and take a look outside. Roads are starting to clear. We didn't have a lot of ice, especially down south, but some areas north of us got hit pretty hard. Now taking a look downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Most of the roads are clear out in the Joplin area on the Missouri side, but still some areas in our northwest dealing with snow and ice on the ground. Clouds are going to start to clear tonight, and we're looking ahead to see a few more clouds pushing in through Oklahoma and into Kansas. That's going to be moving in later on this evening. So we're going to have some partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies throughout the early afternoon on Tuesday. Morning wind chills from -5 to about 5 degrees, but actual temperatures are going to be in the low teens to upper single digits. Now we warm up slightly up to the upper 20s. Now that's about a 5 to 10 degree warmer temperature range than we saw today. So it is a little bit warmer, clear skies as we head into the evening. Now over the next couple of days, temperatures are still going to remain pretty cold. By Wednesday morning, we're still back down into the lower teens and single digits. Kansas City is 3 degrees, Wichita is 5 degrees, and we are about 10 to 12 degrees. Now, winds are still out of the north on Wednesday morning, but by Wednesday afternoon, winds start to shift out of the west and then out of the south heading into Wednesday evening. Temperatures are in the mid-20s to upper 20s on Wednesday, the same as Tuesday. Now, things start to switch up on Thursday. Our lows remaining again in the mid to upper teens, but then our highs jump 10 degrees, get back into the upper 30s, and we have a wind shift line pushing in outside Wichita and Kansas City later in the afternoon, and that's actually going to bring some snow chances to the area. So taking a look at our upper level flow, we're dealing with a lot of cold Arctic air for the next couple of days before our warm up on Thursday, moving in from that low pressure system. This is our winter pattern shifting up, our polar vortex bringing a lot of cold Arctic air into the area. But by Wednesday, we have a cutoff low out to the west, and it's going to rejoin with upper level flow, pulling more Arctic air in. You can see all of the snowfall that's moving in with that system, pushing into our area. We are getting a little bit of a rain mix at the beginning because temperatures are not below freezing, and that's going to be earlier in the afternoon on Thursday, earlier in the evening, and then the snow starts to push in. We're getting the top portion of that because our low pressure is just south of us. We're still going to get a little snow, but it's going to be that light, fluffier snow if we do see some of that in the area. Now, by 2 p.m., we're going to start to see all of that push off to the east, and then that low pressure off to the east. Now, another shortwave trough pushes in, and we have another chance of snow as we head into Sunday. Snow amounts, though, for Friday only about less than an inch in our northern counties, central counties 1 inch to 3 inches, and then south of us over 3 inches. But like I said, we have that chance for another round of light flurries on Sunday. So we have that 20% chance. That could change some things up depending on how our system moves through on Friday, but temperatures return back to 30s following all of this snow.
And that will be a welcome change for sure. In the meantime,
yes,
people need to be careful out there. It could be more treacherous than it seems on those roads.
Definitely way colder than needed to be outside.
No doubt about that. Thanks, Lindsay. Coming up in sports, another NFL team requests a head coaching interview with the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Plus, Pitt State Gorilla is named MIAA Player of the Week. John Dale says those stories and more coming up next.
Pittsburgh State's track and field and cross country programs have won 7 national championships and 16 MIAA championships since Kyle Rutledge has taken over as head coach in 2021. And today, he gets an upgrade from his position of head coach. Pittsburgh State Athletics announces a couple of title changes and promotions for the leaders of its cross country and track and field programs today. According to a release from PSU, Kyle Rutledge will now be the director of cross country and track and field, which Pitt State Athletic Director Jim Johnson says more fully reflects his leadership in both of those programs. And Ben Barrows is now the head coach for the Pitt State men's and women's cross country teams. He has served as the distance coach and assistant on Rutledge's staff for the past 4 years. Well, the winter weather has gotten in the way of a lot of the basketball games scheduled for tonight, but tomorrow our 2 local college teams square off. Pitt State will host Missouri Southern at John Lance Arena, and this afternoon, Pittsburgh State senior Corinna Gerber is named MIAA Women's Basketball Player of the Week. This comes after she had led the Gorillas to a couple of conference victories over Arkansas Fort Smith and Northeastern State. Gerber scored a career-high 35 points to go with 12 rebounds in a win against the Lions on Thursday. She followed that up with 11 points and 9 rebounds in Saturday's home win against the Riverhawks. And before tomorrow's showdown between Southern and Pitt State, here's a look at the current women's basketball standings in the MIAA. PSU undefeated in conference play through its first 4 games, as is Missouri Western, tied for first with the Gorillas. Missouri Southern is 3-1 in MIAA play. On the men's side, Washburn leads the way. The Ichabods are ranked number 2 in the nation. They have an undefeated record. Pitt State is 3-1 thus far, and Missouri Southern 2-2, part of an 8-way tie for 4th place. Well, in the NFL, today is known as Black Monday, which signifies the date when head coaches typically get fired immediately after the finish of the regular season. The Jacksonville Jaguars fire their head coach Doug Peterson this morning. This comes after a 4-13 season and a 3rd place finish in the AFC South. Interestingly enough, no other teams have followed suit. However, it's because several teams didn't even wait until the end of the season to part ways with their head coach. Patriots fired Gerard Mayo just hours after winning their season finale against the Bills yesterday to finish at 4-13, and 3 other head coaches were fired mid-season. One of those teams was the New York Jets, who fired Robert Saleh after starting the season 2-3. And according to ESPN, the Jets have requested to interview Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy for their head coaching vacancy. Nagy was 34-31 as head coach of the Chicago Bears from 2018 till 2021 before returning to Kansas City in his 2nd stint as offensive coordinator. It's kind of interesting the way that the NFL is now. It's almost like if you're a team that's looking to get rid of your head coach, if you don't do it in the middle of the season, you're almost falling behind.
You want to grab the options while they're still available.
Exactly.
And a lot of great coaches and coordinators, by the way, have come from the Andy Reid coaching tree.
Plenty, yeah.
Nagy could be the next. We'll be right back. Mufasa the Lion King and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 reign supreme for the 3rd week in a row to kick off the first weekend box office earnings of the new year. This time, the live-action Disney film roared to the top with close to $24 million domestically. Sonic 3 brought in more than $21 million to take second, and horror remake Nosferatu was third, earning just over $13 million. This week in home entertainment, a look behind the scenes of Saturday Night Live, a time travel thriller, Sylvester Stallone in action, and more. That's just ahead. A biographical comedy drama, an action thriller, and legendary Beatle are among the new digital and DVD releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
My name is Lorne Michaels. I'm the producer of Saturday Night.
Jason Reitman's love letter to the longest-running TV series tops this week's list of what's new in home entertainment. Saturday Night is based on the true story of what happened behind the scenes in the 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live in 1975.
I'm Alma, by the way. Tobias.
Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh star in the romantic drama We Live in Time. It tells the story of a couple's relationship who fell in love after a surprise encounter, but their time becomes limited when a difficult truth is revealed.
If something can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Sylvester Stallone is a master thief attempting a high-stakes armored truck robbery that goes wrong in the action thriller Armor.
A magical safe house.
The time travel thriller Things Will Be Different follows two sibling robbers taking refuge in a mysterious farmhouse that transports them to an alternative timeline in order to escape the police. Their journey home is derailed when a metaphysical force prevents them from leaving until they meet its deadly demands.
We have ourselves a homicide.
The psychological thriller Seven, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, celebrates its 30th anniversary with a 4K Ultra HD digital and Blu-ray release. The film centers on two homicide detectives tracking down a sadistic serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as motives to murder his victims.
We turn to test each other.
For music fans, rock band Franz Ferdinand returns with their first album in 7 years, The Human Fear. And former Beatles drummer Ringo Starr goes country with Look Up. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with drone footage from a snow-covered Joplin. Let's make it a great tomorrow.